Welcome to Decision 2014, the Delegate to Congress debate. I'm your moderator, Daphne Harley. This program is brought to you through a partnership of WTJX and the Sigma Theta Omega chapter of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Before we begin, we do have a small audience here in the studio. We are asking everyone in the audience to not clap, sigh, or react in any way during the debate, except for right now, as we welcome the Delegate to Congress candidates, Ms. Stacey Plaskett, a Democrat, and Mr. Vince Dennett, a Republican. Candidates, you have 1 minute each to introduce yourself and your platforms. Ms. Plaskett, I will allow you to begin.
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you to the listening and the viewing audience for being a part of this process and being concerned about the election that is coming up on November 4th. My name is Stacey Plaskett. I'm the Democratic candidate for the Delegate to Congress position. I am asking for your vote and for your support for the November 4th election because I believe and I understand what is necessary in these times that we are in. We are about to begin a new chapter in our Virgin Islands, and I know that I have the relevant experience, as well as the expertise and the drive and the creativity of mind to take us into that new chapter. I want to do that as your Democratic candidate going into the general election, and I'm asking for everyone to come out and support me, number one on the ballot on November 4th.
Thank you, Ms. Plaskett. Mr. Dennett, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, Virgin Islanders. I am Vince Dennett, Republican candidate for Delegate to Congress. I was born and raised on St. Thomas. I grew up, graduated from Eudorican High School, went to Georgia Tech in Atlanta, graduated from there and became a naval officer where I served in the Navy as a pilot for many years. I left that profession and went into the private sector where I am today. What I've found is that in the 4 decades since I've come back home, I found that the power goes out, infrastructure is bad, and the problems really haven't changed in all that time. So as a private citizen, I decided to step up and say, it's time to get to work. It's time to change the way we view how we work with Washington, we work with the local government to get things happening. It's time to focus on the economy. It's time to focus on getting all of our people to be prosperous and contributing to the general fund. My name is Vince Dennett. I'm number 2 on the ballot, Republican candidate for Delegate to Congress.
Thank you. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer their question. All rebuttals will be limited to 1 minute. As the moderator, I have the option to follow up or extend any particular give and take. Candidates will wait to be acknowledged by me, the moderator, to answer a question or to do a rebuttal. Topics were submitted by the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. However, I formulated all the questions being asked tonight, and I am the only one who has seen them. No candidate will interrupt another candidate while speaking. Candidates may not ask a question of each other directly. At the end of the debate, each candidate can give their closing statements for up to 1 minute. So let us begin with the question. And the first question of the evening, and we will turn to Mr. Dennett first and then to Ms. Plaskett. Lacking a formal vote in Congress, your work in committees is critical to building alliances and support. What committees will you aspire to serve on that will yield the most benefit for the territory, and why?
Well, number one, like 2010, there'll be a wave election where the Republicans will maintain the House and take over the Senate. So as a freshman Republican, I'll have more flexibility committee-wise versus a freshman Democrat. So there are committees to go after agriculture. We need to go after education and the workforce. We need to go after energy and commerce. Those are the top 3 for me right now. And again, there are many other ones, and we will be able to form more solid and opportunistic opportunities for the Caribbean, for the Virgin Islands, to get us back on our feet. We need to go ahead and get the economy going. We need to focus on a blueprint for prosperity, a flat tax. We need to focus on the 6 avenues of revenue in St. Croix that are available that we're not doing anything about. And we need to take our St. Thomas tourism product to the next level. It's time for us to go after the private sector, set the table as a government, and then get out of the way and let the private sector fill the general fund. As a Republican, I will be able to do that.
Thank you. Ms. Plaskett, a
Is it
rebuttal?
the same question or rebuttal?
This is the same question unless you have a rebuttal to his response.
I can respond just on my own without
Thank
the
you.
rebuttal. Thank you. When you talk about committee assignments, unlike what Mr. Dennett says, having worked in Congress, I understand that both Democrats and Republicans sit on each of the committees. So there's not an instance in which one side gets a committee assignment and another doesn't. While the Republicans may or may not be in Congress, the majority, both sides will in fact have committee assignments. I've spoken already with the House leadership of the Democratic Party and asked them, should I be elected, to be given the committee assignment of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, which will deal with our roads, as well as the infrastructure in terms of hospitals and schools, our inter-island travel. I've also asked to sit on the Committee on Agriculture. Most members of Congress sit on 2 committees, and if I'm not successful on one of those, I've also asked for the Committee on Homeland Security, which as well will deal with our ports as well as our airports, and also in foreign affairs, in which I have the background having an undergraduate degree from Georgetown University's School of Foreign Service, so that I can articulate the needs not just of the Virgin Islands, but of the entire Caribbean basin. And although it may appear that the Republicans will in fact be in the majority in Congress, this will still be a Democratic administration. And all of the funding that goes into the Virgin Islands from the federal government will come from a Democratic administration. And for that reason, having a Democrat in Congress to be able to speak with and deal with the administration will be most beneficial to the territory of the Virgin Islands at this time.
Mr. Dennett?
Yes, always remember that the House controls the purse strings, and the purse strings are controlled by the Republicans. Now, experience and connections in government is one thing, but experience and connections in government is what got us to where we are right now as a territory. Now, I've roamed the halls of Washington also as a naval officer. As a naval officer, I was assigned to go ahead and take care of business with senators and congressmen concerning concerns that constituents had with members of the military. You had to go up there, you had to get the problem solved satisfactorily with any senator or any congressman, and then get back to the constituent. So being in Washington and roaming the halls of Washington is not foreign to anything I've done.
Okay, thank you.